is used. Domestically, it's used everywhere. Internationally, it is only used when you're talking about ocean freight. Now, the next term I'm going to talk about is the term that I like the most. And it's the term that when I was an exporter, I shipped the most. That term is CIF. CIF means that Ken is going to manufacture the product, he's going to call the truck, and he's going to pay the truck, he's going to clear U.S. Customs, he's going to book the steamship line. What that means is the steamship line and the freight forwarder will be working for Ken. He is going to pay out of his pocket for the truck, for the freight forwarder, and for the steamship line to get to the port of import. Ken is also going to pay for ocean marine insurance. Now let me just stop for a minute and talk about ocean marine insurance. The only time ocean marine insurance is required on an export quote is on CIF. CIF stands for cost of the product, insurance of the ocean, on the ocean, and freight. Please insure your products from warehouse to warehouse, regardless of what terms you're using. Reason being that if your goods arrive at Esther's dock and they're damaged, and Ken calls Esther and says, well, you insured them, call your insurance company. Esther may say, if it's anything other than CIF, I didn't insure it. Whose problem is it? It's Ken's problem, because his goods are there, he's not going to get paid, and he doesn't have insurance. Esther wants another replacement. He has no money to manufacture one. Now, let's say that Esther, who is in Egypt, has actually insured this shipment. The goods arrive at her dock and they're damaged. She contacts Ken. He says, you bought the insurance, you file it. Esther contacts her Egyptian insurance company. Her Egyptian insurance company says, I don't think the damage happened while it was on the ocean. I think the damage actually happened before it was loaded. I think that Ken actually loaded damaged goods in that truck. Therefore, we're not going to pay, because we've got clean bills of lading all the way. Whose problem is it? It's Ken's. He's not going to get paid for the insurance. He is not going to be able to remanufacture. Now, let's say that the Egyptian insurance company says, okay, it happened in our watch, and we're going to pay. Maybe when my grandchildren are in college, Ken will be paid with a file this thick, because it takes a very long time. They don't want to pay. Insurance companies don't want to pay, especially foreign insurance companies. So what I'm going to say is, regardless of what term you ship under, whether it's FCA, FOB, please insure your product. You can buy supplemental insurance very, very cheaply. Plus, sometimes you can say to Esther, I will quote you FOB, insurance by seller. And it's many times cheaper than what she can get. Get it from warehouse to warehouse so that you have an umbrella over your product, that it doesn't matter where the damage occurred. But please, be proactive. Take care of yourself. Now, on a CIF shipment, this is Egyptian customs. On a CIF shipment, Ken is not required to clear customs. Ken is only required to get the goods to the port of import. And then Esther is required to clear customs and to get the goods to her factory. There is a term called DDP that enables Ken to pay all the way to Esther's factory. Never, ever, ever, ever sell DDP. Reason being, you can estimate the truck freight. You can estimate the ocean freight. You can estimate the trucking to Esther's warehouse. You can even have a written determination from customs in Egypt about the duty rate. However, this Ninja Turtle has the authority to say, I disagree with that classification. Instead of being a 2% duty classification, I believe it's 20%. And he has the power to make that change. So, what is Ken's recourse in that case? He can say, I disagree, I have it in writing, it's 2%. Ninja can say, that's fine, I'll put your goods in storage and you can pay storage on it until we get this resolved. Ken will say, go ahead and clear it, and then we'll take it up with the authorities in Egypt. So it's cleared at 20%. Ken hires attorneys, he comes over, he takes it up with the authorities in Egypt who side with their customs official. So, my advice is, if you're going to ship it all the way to Esther's warehouse, ship it DDU, delivered duty unpaid. Let Esther deal with her own customs people. Let Esther pay her duty. Let Esther pay VAT, if that's a situation, whether there's VAT included. Don't sell DDP, delivered duty paid, because there is this huge unknown, and a lot of times it will come back and get you. I just finished a training for a company that said all of our bills come back more than what our freight forwarder quoted us. This is the reason, because they cannot 100% determine what this is. Now, let me talk for a minute about letters of credit in conjunction with these shipping terms. If you have a CIF shipment, the steamship line is working for you. What that means is the freight forwarder is working for you. Remember I said that a freight forwarder has to prepare a bill of lading, which is presented to the bank with a letter of credit. If you are shipping FOB, the freight forwarder is working for Esther. How careful is that freight forwarder going to be with your documents if they are working for Esther? Not very. So, if a freight forwarder makes a mistake on the bill of lading and they're working for Esther, maybe they did her a favor. They gave her an opportunity not to have to pay. If a freight forwarder is working for you and makes a mistake on the documents, you don't have any recourse with that freight forwarder because they provide a service, and it's not always a good service. But you do have the opportunity to see the documents before they're released. You do have the opportunity to change them, and the freight forwarder is working for you. So, always, my recommendation on a letter of credit is to ship CIF. Always, my recommendation